Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, watching stars drift past the view screen like distant fireflies. The Deep Space Patrol ship had been running silent through the outer rim for 3 weeks, monitoring shipping lanes and checking for pirate activity. It was routine work, the kind that let her crew stay sharp without facing real danger. The quiet was broken by Lieutenant Torres at the communications console. "Captain, I'm picking up something unusual. It's faint, but it looks like a distress signal." Chen moved to his station, her boots silent on the deck plating. After 15 years in the Terran Colonial Navy, she had learned to trust her instincts, and right now something felt off. What kind of signal? It's not using any standard frequencies we know. The pattern is completely alien. Computer is trying to decode it now. Torres frowned at his screen. "Captain, this is coming from the Kepler 442 system. That's deep in uncharted space." "How far?" 47 light-years, 6 days at maximum jump speed." Chen studied the waveform patterns dancing across the screen. They pulsed in a rhythm that seemed almost desperate, like a heartbeat racing with fear. "Any other ships in the area?" "Negative, ma'am. We're the closest Terran vessel by at least 200 light-years." Commander Jackson, her first officer, approached from his station. "Captain, regulations state we should report this to Fleet Command and wait for instructions. We don't have authorization to make contact with unknown alien species." Chen nodded slowly. Jackson was right, of course. First contact protocols existed for good reasons. But those same protocols could take weeks to work through the chain of command, and distress signals didn't usually wait for paperwork. "Torres, how long has the signal been transmitting?" "From the decay pattern, I'd estimate at least 3 days, maybe longer." 3 days? Chen tapped her fingers against the console. "Whatever's happening out there, they've been calling for help for 3 days." The bridge fell quiet, except for the soft hum of the ship's systems. Chen looked around at her crew. They were all watching her, waiting for the decision that could change everything. The Prometheus carried a crew of 48, all veterans of the Outer Rim patrols. They had seen pirate raids, shipping accidents, and colonist emergencies. They knew what delayed rescue meant. "Commander Jackson, what do you know about the Kepler 442 system?" Jackson pulled up the star charts on his tablet. "Single yellow star, probably about the same age as our sun. Long-range surveys detected at least 4 planets, possibly more. No signs of technological civilization when we last checked, but that was 15 years ago. And now someone is broadcasting a distress signal." "Yes, ma'am." Chen made her decision. "All hands, this is the captain. Prepare for emergency jump to the Kepler 442 system. We have a distress signal from unknown origin, and we are the only ship in range to respond. This is likely first contact with an alien species." She turned to her crew. "I want everyone to understand what this means. We're going into completely unknown territory to help someone we've never met. We don't know their language, their technology, or their intentions. But they're calling for help, and that's enough for me." Lieutenant Myers at the navigation console looked up. "Course plotted, Captain. Jump drive charging." "Dr. Reeves to the bridge," Chen announced over the intercom. The ship's xenobiologist would be crucial if they encountered alien life forms. While they waited for the jump drive to charge, Chen gathered her senior staff in the briefing room. The walls displayed everything they knew about the Kepler 442 system, which wasn't much. A few grainy telescope images, basic stellar data, and speculation about planetary composition. Dr. Reeves arrived, slightly out of breath. She was a small woman with gray hair and intense green eyes that missed nothing. "Captain, I heard the announcement. Are we really making first contact?" "Possibly." "What should we expect?" Reeves pulled up her notes on her tablet. "Any species capable of interstellar communication is going to be technologically advanced. They might be more advanced than us. But the fact that they're sending a distress signal suggests they need help with something." Could be a trap, suggested Lieutenant Commander Park, the security chief. Could be, Chen agreed. That's why we're going in ready for anything. But I've been thinking about that signal pattern. It's been transmitting for days. If someone wanted to set a trap, they'd probably use something more efficient. Dr. Reeves leaned forward. Captain, I should mention something about our physiology. Humans evolved on a planet that most species would consider extremely dangerous. High gravity, violent weather, predatory animals, frequent natural disasters. We're probably more physically capable than whatever we're going to find out there. How do you know? Because most species that develop intelligence do so in stable environments. They use their brains to solve problems instead of their bodies. Humans are unusual because we developed intelligence while also staying physically tough. Jackson frowned. Are you saying we're stronger than most aliens? I'm saying that Earth is what xenobiologists call a death world. Most inhabited planets are much more peaceful. If these aliens are in trouble, they might not be equipped to handle whatever's threatening them. Chen absorbed this information. So we might be walking into a situation where our physical advantages could make the difference. Exactly. The intercom crackled. Captain, jump drive charged and ready. Chen stood. All right, everyone to your stations. We're going to help whoever is sending that signal, but we're going to be smart about it. Back on the bridge, Chen settled into her command chair. Mr. Myers, engage jump drive. Space twisted around them, stars stretching into lines of light. The Prometheus crossed 47 light-years in the space between one heartbeat and the next. When normal space reasserted itself, they found themselves staring at a yellow star very much like Earth's sun. Scanning for the source of the distress signal, Torres announced. Contact, Myers called out from sensors. I'm reading multiple ships, Captain. They're in orbit around the third planet. Chen leaned forward. How many ships? Difficult to tell. I'm counting at least 20, maybe more. Some of them are very large. Are they the source of the distress signal? Negative. The signal is coming from the planet's surface. Dr. Reeves moved to the science station. Captain, I'm reading signs of a technological civilization on that planet. Cities, power grids, transportation networks. This is definitely an inhabited world. And those ships? Myers worked at his console. I'm detecting weapon signatures, Captain. These aren't exploration vessels or cargo haulers, they're warships. The picture was becoming clearer. An inhabited planet under attack, calling for help, while enemy ships controlled the orbital space around their world. Chen felt a familiar cold anger settling in her stomach. She had seen this before in human space, when pirates or raiders attacked defenseless colonies. Can we get closer without being detected? Possibly. Their sensor technology seems different from ours. I can't tell how advanced it is. Chen made another decision. Take us in, but keep us ready to jump out if things go bad. I want to know what's happening down there. As they moved closer to the planet, the situation became more apparent. The ships in orbit were clearly attacking the surface. Bright flashes of energy lit up the planet's night side, and Torres was picking up more distress signals, dozens of them, all broadcasting the same desperate plea for help. Captain, Dr. Reeves said quietly, I'm reading massive population centers on that planet. If those ships are conducting orbital bombardment, we could be looking at millions of casualties. Chen stared at the view screen, watching the lights of destruction flicker across an alien world. Somewhere down there, people were dying. People who had called for help across the vast emptiness of space, hoping that someone, somewhere would hear them and care enough to come. Torres, can you break down that distress signal? I want to know what they're saying. Working on it, Captain. The computer is making progress with the language matrix. He paused. Got something. It's fragmentary, but I think this is what they're saying. Help us. Skyfire burns our cities. Children dying. Please, anyone who can hear this, Help us." The bridge fell silent. Chen looked around at her crew and saw her own feelings reflected in their faces. 48 humans against an unknown number of alien warships. The smart thing would be to jump back to human space and report what they had found. Let the fleet mobilize a proper response. But that would take months. The people on that planet didn't have months. "Mr. Jackson, battle stations. All hands prepare for combat." Jackson hesitated. "Captain, we're outnumbered 20-1. Maybe more." Chen stood and smoothed her uniform. "Mr. Jackson, in 300 years of human space travel, has there ever been a recorded instance of a Terran vessel refusing to answer a distress call?" "No, ma'am." "Then we're not going to be the first." She turned to the rest of the bridge crew. "Ladies and gentlemen, those aliens down there called for help. They're facing extinction, and we're the only ones who heard them. I don't care if they're green or purple or have tentacles for hands. They're people. And people don't deserve to die while we stand by and watch." She paused, looking at each of her officers. "I'm not ordering anyone into this fight. If you want to object, speak now." No one spoke. "All right then. Let's show these raiders what happens when they mess with someone under Terran protection." As the Prometheus powered up its weapons and prepared for battle, Chen thought about what Dr. Reeves had said. Humans were Deathworlders, evolved on a planet that would kill most other species. They had survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, and countless wars. They had climbed to the top of Earth's food chain, not through size or natural weapons, but through determination and the refusal to give up. Now they were taking those traits to the stars. The alien raiders were abow. The first alien ship to detect the Prometheus reacted exactly as Chen had expected. It turned toward them with what could only be described as casual interest, like a shark noticing a small fish swimming nearby. The vessel was massive, easily 3 times the length of the human destroyer, with an angular design that spoke of function over beauty. "They're scanning us," Torres reported. "I'm picking up some kind of probe beam." Chen watched the alien ship approach on the tactical display. "Any response to our hails?" "Nothing, Captain. They're ignoring us completely." Dr. Reeves looked up from the science station. "Captain, I'm analyzing their ship design. It's clearly built for orbital bombardment, not ship-to-ship combat. Look at those weapon emplacements. They're all designed to fire down at planetary targets." "Which means they're not expecting to fight other warships," Jackson observed. "They probably think they're the only spacefaring species in this region." Chen nodded. "That could be an advantage." "Mr. Park, what's our tactical assessment?" Lieutenant Commander Park studied his displays. "They're big, but they're slow. Those ships are built like flying fortresses, designed to dominate planets that can't fight back. Our missiles should be faster than anything they can deploy, and our point defense systems are more advanced. How many of them can we realistically engage?" "If we're smart about it, maybe 5 or 6 before they coordinate a proper response." The lead alien ship was close enough now for visual contact. Chen stared at it on the main screen, noting the scorch marks and battle damage along its hull. This wasn't their first raid. How many worlds had these ships attacked? How many civilizations had called desperately for help while these predators burned their cities? "Torres, I want a wideband transmission to all ships in the system, all frequencies, all languages we know, and include the mathematical sequences for first contact." "What should I tell them, Captain?" Chen thought for a moment. "Tell them this. You are attacking a civilization under the protection of the Terran Colonial Navy. Cease your bombardment immediately and withdraw from this system, or you will be fired upon." "Captain," Jackson said quietly, "we don't actually have authorization to declare alien worlds under Terran protection." "We do now." Chen's voice was steel. "Send the message, Torres." The transmission went out across the system. For nearly a minute, nothing happened. Then suddenly the alien ships began to move, but instead of withdrawing, They were turning toward the Prometheus. "Looks like they're not interested in negotiating," Park observed. "Their loss." Chen activated the ship-wide intercom. "All hands, this is the captain. We are about to engage a superior enemy force in defense of an alien civilization. I want everyone to remember that we're not just fighting for ourselves today. We're fighting for the idea that the strong should protect the weak, no matter who they are or where they come from." She paused, looking around the bridge. "We're outnumbered. But we're human. We've been outnumbered before." 5 ships breaking away from the main group, Myers reported. "They're moving to intercept us." "Perfect. That's exactly what we want." Chen settled into her command chair. "Mr. Park, target the lead ship. Full missile spread, all tubes." Missiles away. The Prometheus shuddered slightly as 12 antimatter warheads launched from her missile bays. The human-made weapons streaked across space at tremendous speed, faster than anything the aliens had likely encountered before. The lead alien ship didn't even try to evade. It simply absorbed the impacts, its shields flaring briefly before collapsing. The massive vessel broke apart in a brilliant explosion that lit up the surrounding space. "Direct hit. Target destroyed." On the tactical display, Chen watched the remaining alien ships suddenly change course. Instead of continuing their steady approach, they were now moving erratically, clearly shaken by the loss of their leader. "They weren't expecting that," Jackson observed. "No, they weren't." Chen smiled grimly. "Target the next ship. Fire at will." The battle that followed was unlike anything in human military history. The alien ships were enormous and heavily armored, but they moved like slugs compared to the Prometheus. Their weapons were designed for planetary bombardment, not space combat against a fast, maneuverable opponent. Chen's crew worked with the precision of a machine. Missiles launched, found their targets, and exploded in blossoms of fire. The aliens tried to return fire, but their massive energy beams moved too slowly to track the human ship. "Third target destroyed," Park announced. 2 remaining in this group." "Captain, the other alien ships are breaking off their attack on the planet," Torres reported. "They're all turning toward us." Chen looked at the tactical display. 16 ships all converging on their position. Even with their technological advantages, the Prometheus couldn't fight that many opponents at once. "Time to change tactics. Mr. Myers, take us into the planet's atmosphere." "Captain?" Myers looked confused. "You heard me. Full atmospheric entry. Make it fast." Jackson leaned over. "Sarah, what are you thinking?" "Those ships are designed for orbital bombardment. They're not built for atmospheric combat. In the planet's atmosphere, their size becomes a disadvantage." The Prometheus dove toward the planet's surface, her hull heating up as she hit the outer atmosphere. Behind them, the alien ships followed, but Chen could see on the sensors that they were struggling. Their massive hulls weren't designed for atmospheric flight. "Reading multiple cities under attack," Dr. Reeves reported. "I'm picking up millions of life signs. The population is concentrated in large urban areas." Chen studied the surface scans. The alien cities were beautiful, with tall spires and flowing architecture that seemed to grow from the landscape itself. Many were burning. "There," she pointed at the display. "That city is under immediate attack. 3 alien ships in low orbit conducting bombardment." "Orders, Captain?" Chen didn't hesitate. "We're going to save them." The Prometheus screamed through the alien sky, her engines leaving contrails in the thin atmosphere. Below, Chen could see the flashes of the bombardment and something else. The people of this world were fighting back. Streams of energy rose from the city, primitive but determined defensive fire. "Target the closest bombardment ship," Chen ordered. "Full spread." The missiles launched upward from the atmospheric craft, catching the alien ship completely by surprise. It had probably never been attacked from below before. The explosion lit up the sky like a second sun. The other 2 ships immediately turned their attention to the Prometheus. Energy beams lanced down through the atmosphere, but the human ship was too fast, weaving between the attacks like a fighter instead of a destroyer. Return fire! Everything we've got. The battle above the alien city was brief but spectacular. The two remaining bombardment ships, caught between the Prometheus from below and the city's defenses from the surface, didn't last long. When the second ship exploded, debris rained down across the landscape, but the bombardment had stopped. Torres, can you establish communication with the surface? Working on it, Captain. I'm using the translation matrix we built from their distress signals. After several minutes of adjustments, a voice came through the speakers. It was clearly alien, different vocal structure, different rhythm, but the computer was translating in real time. Unknown ship, can you understand us? Chen took the communication herself. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran vessel Prometheus. We received your distress call and came to help. There was a long pause. Then, Terran? We do not know this word. Are you from the void between stars? We are from a planet called Earth, many light years from here. We heard your call for help. Another pause, longer this time. You came from the star void to help us? Yes. But why? We are strangers to you. Chen thought about how to answer that. Because you asked for help. Because no one should face extinction alone. The voice that came back was thick with emotion. I am First Speaker Zaleth of the city of Cathara. The Skyfire ships have been burning our world for 7 days. We thought no one heard our calls. We heard you, and we're going to stop them. How? There are so many of them. Chen looked at her tactical display. There were still 13 alien ships in the system, and more were arriving every hour. The smart thing would be to evacuate who they could and retreat, but that would mean abandoning millions to die. First Speaker Zaleth, I need you to tell me everything you know about these attackers. How long have they been raiding your territory? Do they have a pattern? Weaknesses? Over the next several minutes, Chen learned that the attackers called themselves the Devourers. They traveled from system to system, stripping planets of resources and enslaving or killing the populations. They had conquered dozens of worlds over the past several decades. They are too powerful, Zaleth said. Their ships are like flying mountains. Our weapons barely scratch them. Maybe, Chen replied, but they've never fought humans before. Dr. Pat Reeves had been monitoring the conversation. Captain, I'm reading interesting data about these Devourers. Their physiology is adapted to low-gravity environments. High gravity would be severely debilitating to them. How high? Earth normal gravity would probably be fatal to them within hours. Chen felt a cold smile spread across her face. Mr. Jackson, I want you to organize boarding parties. Full combat gear, but I want non-lethal restraints. Boarding parties? Captain, those ships are enormous, which means they probably have low internal gravity to accommodate their physiology. Chen turned to Torres. Can you hack into their ship systems? Possibly. Their computer systems seem less advanced than ours in some ways. Good. I want you to find their gravity generators and turn them up to Earth normal. The bridge crew stared at her. Park was the first to speak. Captain, that's ruthless? Yes, it is. Chen's voice was calm. Dr. Reeves just told us that Earth normal gravity would be debilitating to these aliens. We can disable entire crews without killing anyone. Jackson frowned. But they've been conducting genocide for decades. Which is why we're going to stop them. But we're going to do it the human way. We're going to capture their ships and turn them over to the people they've been attacking for judgment. Chen stood and moved to the center of the bridge. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to attempt something that has never been done before. We're going to capture an entire fleet of alien warships using nothing but human determination and our evolutionary advantages. She looked around at her crew. Any questions? Park raised his hand. "Just one, Captain. When do we start?" Chen smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "Right now. Mr. Torres, find me their command ship. It's time to introduce the Devourers to the concept of Earth Grey." The Devourer command ship was a monument to brutality, its hull scarred by the flames of 100 burning worlds. As the Prometheus approached through the debris field of destroyed raiders, Chen could see weapon ports designed specifically for planetary bombardment, cargo bays sized for stolen resources, and holding cells that could contain thousands of prisoners. "Torres, status on the gravity hack?" "I'm in their systems, Captain. Their computer security is primitive. It's like they never expected anyone to try this." Chen wasn't surprised. Species that relied on overwhelming force rarely developed sophisticated defensive measures. "How long until you can adjust their gravity generators?" 2 minutes, maybe less." "Mr. Jackson, boarding parties ready?" "Standing by, Captain. 20 Marines in full combat armor equipped with restraints and medical supplies." Chen nodded. The medical supplies were important. She had no intention of killing the Devourers through gravitational torture, but she needed to disable them long enough to secure their ships. "Contact the surface. I want to speak with First Speaker Zalith." The translation came through quickly now. Torres had refined the language matrix during the battle. "Captain Chen, we are monitoring your approach to the Skyfire command vessel. Are you truly going to attack it?" "We're going to capture it," Chen corrected. "First Speaker, I need to know something. When we defeat these raiders, what do you want to happen to them?" There was a long pause. "I do not understand the question. Do you want them executed? Imprisoned? Exiled?" Another pause. "They have burned 17 of our cities. They have killed millions of our people. They have taken thousands as slaves to other worlds. I understand your anger, but I'm asking what you want to do about it." "We want justice." Chen felt a familiar weight settle on her shoulders. Justice was a complicated concept, especially when dealing with an enemy that had shown no mercy. But humans had learned over centuries of warfare that revenge and justice were different things. "We'll capture them alive. Then we'll let your people decide what justice looks like." "Captain," Torres interrupted, "I'm ready to adjust their gravity." "Do it!" Across the enemy fleet, the effect was immediate and devastating. The Devourer ships, designed for low-gravity environments, suddenly found themselves struggling under Earth-normal gravitational force. Through their sensors, Chen could hear emergency transmissions in the alien language: panic, confusion, and desperation. "Boarding parties, go!" The Prometheus extended docking tubes to the command ship. Chen's Marines moved through the connections in their powered armor, ready for fierce resistance. Instead, they found corridors full of aliens collapsed under their own body weight, gasping in the suddenly oppressive gravity. "This is Sergeant Martinez," came the report over the comm. "We've secured the first 3 decks. No resistance. The aliens can barely move." Chen felt a moment of doubt. This was almost too easy. These creatures had terrorized dozens of worlds, enslaved millions, and now they were helpless as children. "Sergeant, what's the condition of the enemy crew?" "Alive but struggling, Captain. They're conscious but can't support their own weight. We're providing emergency medical assistance." That was important. Chen had made it clear that they were here to stop the raiders, not commit genocide. "Secure the ship and tend to any injured. We'll sort everything else out later." Over the next 2 hours, Chen's crew systematically captured the entire Devourer fleet. The gravity weapon was devastatingly effective. The aliens simply couldn't function under Earth-normal conditions. But it was also precise. None of the raiders died, though many required medical attention. As the last ship was secured, Chen found herself standing in the command center of the Devourer flagship. The chamber was enormous, designed to accommodate the aliens' preference for open spaces and low gravity. Now it felt like a tomb, filled with gasping, struggling forms that had once commanded a fleet of death. Dr. Reeves examined one of the aliens with her medical scanner. "They're definitely from a low-gravity world," she reported. "Probably around 0.3 Earth gravity. Their bone structure is too light to support their weight in our gravity." Chen looked down at the alien commander, a tall, spindly creature with iridescent skin and 4 arms. It was wearing what appeared to be ceremonial armor, decorated with symbols that probably represented conquered worlds. "Can you understand me?" Chen asked. The alien's translation device was still functioning. "You are the Deathworlders. From the void. We're humans. From Earth. Impossible. The Deathworlds do not produce intelligence. Only monsters." Chen knelt beside the creature. "You've been attacking civilizations that couldn't fight back, burning cities full of innocent people, taking slaves. What did you expect would happen? The strong take from the weak. This is the way of the galaxy." "Not anymore." Over the next several days, Chen coordinated with the surviving governments on the planet below. The aliens called themselves the Cathani, and they had been fighting the Devourer raids for almost a decade. Entire regions of their world lay in ruins, and millions of their people were unaccounted for, presumably taken as slaves to distant worlds. First speaker. Zalith came aboard the Prometheus for a formal meeting. He was tall and graceful, with silver skin and large, intelligent eyes. When he stepped onto the human ship, he moved carefully, clearly struggling with the higher gravity. "Your world is heavy," he observed. "Most people say that," Chen replied. "We're used to it." Zalith looked around the ship with obvious curiosity. "Your technology is strange, different from anything we have seen, different from the Skyfire Raiders. We developed it under different conditions. On our world, if your technology fails, you die. So we build things to last." They met in the ship's conference room, where Chen had assembled all the information her crew had gathered about the Devourer fleet. Star charts showing the locations of dozens of raided worlds, cargo manifests listing stolen resources, and prisoner logs documenting thousands of enslaved individuals. "This is what we found," Chen said, displaying the data. "The Devourers have been operating for at least 50 years. They've attacked 43 different worlds, killed an estimated 50 million people, and enslaved almost 2 million more." Zalith stared at the numbers, his large eyes growing even wider. "So many. We knew they raided other worlds, but we never imagined. The question now is what to do with them." "What do you mean?" Chen leaned forward. "We captured them. We have their ships, their weapons, their records of every crime they've committed. But we're not their victims. You are. Your people are. It should be your decision what happens to them. You would give us this choice?" "It's your right." Zalith was quiet for a long moment. "On our world, we believe that justice requires understanding. Tell me, Captain Chen, why did these creatures become raiders?" Chen pulled up the biographical data they had extracted from the Devourer computers. Their home world was destroyed by an asteroid impact about a century ago. The survivors became nomads, traveling from system to system. At some point, they decided it was easier to take what they needed than to trade for it. So, they were victims first. "Yes, but that doesn't excuse what they became." Zalith nodded slowly. "We have a concept in our culture called the chain of sorrow. When one people suffers, they often make others suffer. The sorrow passes from victim to victim, growing larger each time." "And how do you break the chain?" "By refusing to pass the sorrow on." Chen waited, letting the alien leader work through his thoughts. She had seen this before in human conflicts. The moment when someone had to choose between justice and revenge. Captain Chen, your people came across the star void to help us. You risked your lives to save strangers. You could have destroyed the Skyfire ships and all aboard them, but instead, you captured them. Why? Chen thought carefully about her answer. Because we've learned that killing your enemies doesn't solve the problem. It just creates new enemies. But we also learned that some people can't be reasoned with. They can only be stopped. And these devourers? They can be stopped. They have been stopped. The question is what to do with them now that they're no longer a threat. Zaleth stood and walked to the viewport, looking out at the captured fleet. I must speak with the other speakers. This decision affects all of our world. The debates among the Cathani leadership lasted for 3 days. Chen kept her crew busy during that time, cataloging the captured technology and trying to locate the worlds where devourer slaves had been taken. Dr. Reeves worked with Cathani scientists to develop medical treatments for both species, while Torres and his team reverse-engineered devourer star charts to map their raiding territory. When Zaleth returned, he brought representatives from every major Cathani government. They gathered in the cargo bay of the Prometheus, where the captured devourer commander was being held under medical supervision. "We have reached a decision," Zaleth announced. "But first, we want to hear from the one who led these raids." Chen nodded to the guards, who helped the alien commander sit upright. Even with medical support, the creature could barely function in the ship's gravity. "You are dying worlds that know not strength," the commander wheezed. "We took what we needed to survive. This is the way of space." "You took our children," one of the Cathani representatives said quietly. "You burned our cities. You killed our elders. The weak served the strong. We gave your people purpose." Chen watched the exchange, noting the controlled anger on the Cathani faces. These were people who had lost everything to the raiders, and now they had their tormentors helpless before them. What they chose to do next would define not just their justice system, but their character as a species. Zaleth spoke for his people. "Commander of the Skyfire ships, you and your crews will be imprisoned for your crimes, but you will be imprisoned here, on this world, where you will work to repair the damage you have done. We cannot survive on your heavy world. Then you will adapt, as we have had to adapt to our losses. Captain Chen's people will provide the medical technology to help you adjust to our gravity. You will spend the rest of your lives building what you destroyed." The Devourer commander stared at the Cathani leaders. "You would make us slaves? We would make you responsible." Chen felt a deep respect for the alien leaders. They could have chosen execution or exile, but instead, they had chosen something far more difficult: rehabilitation. "There is one more thing," Zaleth continued. "Your star charts show the locations of worlds where you took slaves. Captain Chen's people will use your ships to return those people to their homes. You will provide all the information needed to make this happen. And if we refuse?" Zaleth's expression hardened. "Then you will be handed over to the families of your victims." The threat was clear. Cooperation meant prison and hard labor. Refusal meant something much worse. Over the following weeks, Chen's crew worked with Cathani engineers to modify half of the captured Devourer ships for rescue operations. The other half were dismantled, their weapons destroyed, their resources distributed to repair the damage on the Cathani homeworld. On the day the Prometheus was scheduled to depart, Zaleth came aboard one final time. He carried with him a small crystal sculpture, intricate and beautiful. "This is for your people," he said. "A gift from our world to yours." Chen accepted the sculpture, noting its weight and the way it seemed to capture light. "It's beautiful. What does it represent?" "It represents the moment when strangers become friends, when the darkness between stars is bridged by compassion." Compassion. Chen considered the word. "First speaker, I need to tell you something. My people came here to help, yes, But what we did to your enemies, capturing them with gravity weapons, disabling an entire fleet without destroying it, some would say that wasn't compassionate at all. Zalith tilted his head, a gesture that had become familiar over the past weeks. Captain Chen, true compassion is not about being gentle with evil. True compassion is about stopping evil while still preserving the possibility for justice. Chen nodded slowly. You're saying that sometimes compassion means being ruthless. I am saying that your people left their compassion for us, for the innocent, for those who had already suffered enough. But you left it behind when you faced those who had caused that suffering. That is wisdom, not cruelty. As the Prometheus prepared to jump back to human space, Chen stood on the bridge watching the Cathani homeworld recede. Cities were being rebuilt, freed slaves were returning home, and a species that had nearly faced extinction was learning to trust in the existence of allies among the stars. Course plotted for Earth, Myers reported. Engage. Space twisted around them one final time, carrying them away from their first contact with alien civilization. But Chen knew they would be back. Humanity had answered one distress call, and word would spread. Other species would learn that somewhere in the galaxy, there existed a people who would cross any distance to help strangers in need. They would also learn that these same people would fight with terrifying efficiency against those who preyed on the innocent. As Earth's sun grew larger in the view screen, Chen thought about the title that the Cathani had given humanity. The Deathworlders who bridged darkness with compassion. It was a strange legacy, but perhaps it was the most human one of all. The willingness to be monsters to those who monstrous, while remaining protectors to those who needed protection. Behind them, across dozens of star systems, former slaves were returning home aboard human-crewed ships, and on a world orbiting a yellow sun, former raiders worked under alien skies to rebuild what they had destroyed. Sometimes, Chen reflected, justice looked a lot like compassion, and sometimes it looked like leaving compassion behind. Vitae, to learn why Earth was called a death world, and why its children answered every call for help, no matter the odds.